Welcome back. Let's get chatting to the first corporate that we have on our show. Rajan Sethuraman, who's the CEO of LatentView Analytics, joins in now. Rajan, always a pleasure speaking with you. We'll obviously talk about your numbers, we'll talk about the business outlook, but there is a fair amount of uncertainty in the world right now. One, there is the global uncertainty. Clients are delaying their projects. We don't know whether they've cancelled it or not. You'll be the right person to answer that. But importantly, for analytics, a lot of people are using generative AI as a tool as well. What is your view on how these things would impact your business?
Right. I think there is quite a bit of interest on generative AI, definitely. And we believe that at this point in time, a lot of insights go unnoticed even because there is a whole lot of data that organizations are looking at. And even to get started with analytics in a meaningful fashion, it might be useful to get some basic insights into the hand of the people. I believe that technologies like generative AI can help in that fashion, get more people into the data, into the insights, so that there is greater interest for analytics in general. So one of the things that we are currently witnessing, for example, is can you use generative AI on data sets that have been curated, could be structured, textual data, unstructured data, to identify insights that previously were not being focused upon, right? And that will create further momentum in terms of what more can be done. So I believe that at this time, we are all just getting started with this, and there are many exploratory initiatives, but I'm expecting that it will gather momentum in the next couple of quarters.
Okay, all right, gather momentum in the next couple of quarters. We'll wait by for the impact. It would be interesting to see. But Mr. Rajan, just talking about business in the near term, generally Q1 is the start of engagements, but you had indicated that you are seeing sluggishness, which is more than normal in terms of projects in the pipeline as well as possibly closing large deals. So where do things stand as of now?
So the uncertainty has kind of continued into this quarter as well. While this is our first quarter for most of our client organizations in the US, this is their second quarter. However, in the last couple of weeks, we have started hearing news bites and getting signals that in some sense, most organizations that were sitting on the fence, even if they had identified a set of initiatives and they had a budget, now they need to make a commit decision of sorts, right? I mean, either they say that this year it's going to be a washout and we're not going to do anything, or they're going to say that, okay, here are a set of initiatives and we'll go ahead with what we had thought of. So I'm expecting that in the next 2-3 weeks, there'll be a bit of a tipping point one way or the other. So by end of July, there should be more clarity. But at this point, the uncertainty has continued into Q1 as well.
So have you faced any cancellation of orders?
Not any cancellations, as I had mentioned earlier during our previous quarterly results. All of our renewals were all done, and we didn't see any cancellations at all. But that is just the previous book of work that we had, where the challenge has been in terms of larger initiatives, right, getting started. Some incremental additions have also been there. So that has helped with marginal growth in this quarter. But the big ones, people are still waiting on the fence.
How many deals did you sign in this quarter so far? So
in Q1, I think we have had almost 7 or 8. Some of them are with existing accounts, just some increase in work. But even the new logos that have come in, they've all started off at a much smaller ticket size in comparison to what we have experienced in the past.
So you usually, classify your clients basis size. It's 150 crore, then it's 10 to 50 crore, 5 to 10 crore, and sub 5 crores. How has the movement been across these 4 buckets, according to you, of the 7 orders that you've signed this quarter so far?
Yeah, so pretty much all of the new deals that we have won have all been with Fortune 500 companies. I think barring one maybe. Everything has been with very large organizations. So that is a good sign because those are the type of companies we want to work with.
But the size of the deal, has that been?
Many of them have been in the 150 to 200K range. I mean, what we typically look at is $500,000 or more. And we have had only one such deal that has come through in this quarter. All the others have been in the 200K range.
Okay.
200K as
$1,000.
Yeah.
This sitting on the fence, the uncertainty that you're facing at this point in time, what does this do to your margins? Because I'm sure you're bidding at more competitive rates as well. You did margins of around 21.4% in Q4. what do you think the margins can probably go to in this environment?
Right. So I don't think the margin pressure is so much related to the pricing aspect of it. For us, it will be more in relation to the investments that we had started making towards the end of the last year. Some of those investments had an impact on our margins even in the previous quarter, which is Q4 of last year. But many of those hires, the full impact of that will be felt in this quarter. That plus the compensation hikes that we have done, right, starting April. Those are the two things that will contribute to some pressure on the margin, given that the revenue profile is only a marginal growth. So it will have an impact on the margins. I can't disclose at this point in time in terms of where the numbers will finally break down to, but it will definitely have an impact in comparison to the previous quarter.
But can you just, I know you can't give an exact, level in terms of what you would do in terms of margins, but is it going to be lower than 21.4%? Is it going to be with higher? Is it going to be the same? And if so, for how many quarters?
So we expect that this quarter will be subdued in comparison to the previous one. I'm expecting that the next quarter could also be at similar levels. Maybe there'll be a smaller uptick in Q2. The real impact, assuming the decision making comes back and some of the uncertainty gets resolved, will be felt only in the second half of the year, for us from Q3 onwards.
So you usually guide for this 25 to 28% band in which you operate. That obviously has significantly come lower in the fourth quarter, and you believe the next quarter could be further subdued. Any idea on, by when do you get back to that 25 to 28% band? And you also said margins would be an impact of lower revenue growth. Quarter on quarter, there was a decline in the fourth quarter. Do we see further declines, or we see mid-single digit sort of growth going forward on the top line?
Yeah, so this quarter, there is no decline. There is going to be marginal growth. I'm expecting similar marginal growth in Q2 as well. From Q3, we are expecting that the revenue uptake will be much stronger. Since most of the investments that we need to make are already factored in, that will mean that the margin profile will also get better starting Q3 onwards. So we should look at getting back to the earlier guidance trajectory from Q3.
All right, that makes sense. And final question then, you said that there is a lot happening in the generative AI space, and this is a space to watch out for going forward. You're sitting on almost 1,000 crores of cash on your books. You said that you're looking at almost 10 prospects for acquisitions and stuff as well. Can we hear something soon? What are the areas? Have you zeroed in on some of the prospects? Is anything M&A on the cards?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, M&A is always on the cards, and there are more prospects that are always coming our way. One thing that we've also done as an organization is to set up a corp dev team. We now have a 2-member team that is focused exclusively on identifying and evaluating deals. So therefore, the inflow into the top end of the pipeline has definitely gone up. However, from a type of opportunity perspective, we believe at this time the big play is largely going to be in the data engineering space, because a lot of that data collection, harmonization, organization is still fairly a significant aspect. So while generative AI and related technologies is the new buzzword, we only see small initiatives happening there, right? For the time being, we are already making some good investments in that direction from a capability and skill building perspective. M&A focus will be mostly around data engineering capabilities at this point in time, and those are the kind of opportunities that are getting
you've narrowed in on?
So there are 3 opportunities which where we are looking at final evaluation before we put out a letter of intent. They are all in the 10 to $25 million range in terms of revenue. Some very interesting ones, both US market focused as well as one which is Europe focused. And most of them have an India-based operations as well. So from a culture and integration perspective, that'll be easier as well. We are expecting that the LOI will go out in the next month to 6 weeks' time. And then after that, the due diligence process will take a further 2 months or so, right, before we are able to conclude. But this is something that we've been doing in the past. Of course, we want to make sure that the evaluation ticks all the criteria.
All right, Mr. Rajan, we're going to leave it on that note. completely run out of time. But we're going to hold you on that M&A prospect. Probably in the next couple of weeks is where we could hear something. There are 3 candidates on board. $10 to $20 million in terms of a size is what they're possibly looking at. So that's LatentView. The stock has moved up as we speak. So they're up around 0.6%, a little bit of a spike that we've seen.
We have seen a bit of a spike. The management says that margins may be under pressure for the next 2 quarters, and the third quarter onwards we'll see an improvement. But as he was speaking, I just thought of an incredible content piece idea, and I want to say it here so that no one else copies it. It is basically how you have these shows, reality TV shows of, people investing in companies. You have reality TV shows of people getting married to each other, any of that sort. How about a reality TV show of M&As, corporate M&As? A person zeroes in on 3 prospects, and then you capture the journey of them doing the data due diligence, having the conversations, and it eventually fructifying into a deal.
You know what you want to do next.
Now I do.
CNBC-TV18. That could be a prospect, definitely.
Or on CNBC-TV18.
Or on CNBC-TV18. Fits in perfectly. Well, we'll leave you to that, Mangalam, and we'll need to take a short break, but we'll get you more on the markets and a lot of stocks in focus. Stay tuned.